Welcome to AWS Glue Crawler 101. So in a nutshell, Crawler does three steps. It accesses your data, and there are some specific data source which can be accessed by Crawler. In order to access your data, Crawler needs to know where the data resides. It needs to have some specific access which can be provided by using enroll. Sometimes it needs some extra help which can be provided using classifier. In the second step, it extracts the metadata and creates the table definition in the AWS Glue catalog. Once the data has been accessed, it creates the metadata. And the third step, it has to manage the AWS Glue table schema and manage the partitions. So once the table is created, if any changes happen in your source data, it has to update the table definition and update the partitions and data information in the table. So now let's go and understand this thing in the detail. So this is the first step where it accesses the data. So imagine the crawler is nothing but a detective, and detective is going to the crime scene, and in the crime scene is our data source. So when the detective goes to the crime scene, it needs to have some specific information which we already discussed, is your IAM role, S3 path, or the credential information. So detective is going to the crime scene, which could be hotel or house or restaurant, different data sources where it can go. So what happens next? So once detective goes to the crime scene and access the crime scene, the detective start investigation. It starts writing crime scene, what happened, and once it investigates the whole crime scene, the detective has to report back to the police station, and the police station is nothing but your AWS Glue data catalog. So crawler writes all the information, the metadata which is extracted, and the table definition in the AWS Glue data catalog in the form of table, where it gives all the schema of your file, a schema or the information of the crime scene. And in the partitions with the data, it writes down what happened at the crime scene, different details about the crime scene. Actual data or actual thing still resides at the crime scene or the SC location, but there is a pointer over here. So you know, if I want to take out some information, this is where in the crime scene I'll find that information. If the information is deleted from the crime scene, this will be irrelevant over here. So that's how it provides an information and writes back to the AWS Glue catalog, which is in case is police station. Now the table which is created by AWS Glue data catalog, or the information which is provided by the detective in the police station, can be used by other investigative agencies such as FBI, CIA, and NSA. Access this AWS Glue ETL table, and the information in this AWS Glue ETL table can be used by them for the further investigation. Some of the investigation also have access to directly go to the crime scene, but depending on the use case, they decide what needs to be done. So now we are getting this analogy in terms of detective, crime scene, police station, and other investigative agency, what AWS Glue Crawler actually does. So it accesses the data, created table, and table definitions and metadata information. And what happens next? Third step, which is the create and manage AWS Glue table schema and manage partition. So now detective went to the crime scene once, provided the information which is being used by other investigative agencies. But what if any changes happen at the crime scene? What if you get the new data at the SC location and the new data schema is changed, or everything is not same as what happened yesterday? In that case, the information in the AWS Glue catalog table doesn't reflect right away. So the crawler has to go crawl again and update the table over here. So detective has to go again, find out that new information and report back to the police station. So the third step is also very important. You cannot just run crawler once in your data source and that will be always the most relevant information. So whenever changes happen to your source data, you need to run the crawler to get the update in your catalog table. So if table schema changes, you will see as a versions 1203, where you can see, oh, it was something at the last time and this is the new update. And also at the data, the partitions or anything which is created, if something is deleted or updated, it needs to get updated over here. So when the other investigative agencies pull the data or you pull the data from this table, those are most relevant. So in your AWS Glue pipeline, most of the time when you run the Glue job where you get the data at the source, you always end up running the crawler, so you get the updated information in the glue table catalog. So detectives sometimes also use the classifiers. So detectives are smart, they know how to read the crime scene, and they have some basic intelligence. As an example, our crawler know that how to read the CSV file or Parquet file or JSON file, but sometimes the crime scenes are complicated and they have to get the help from local resources. So same thing with the crawler, sometimes the file types are weird, so they need to get the help from classifier, where we tell crawler, okay, so this file has this different format and this is the way to decode this format, so when it creates the table it can help to get the exact metadata or the schema of the table. Like you have the JSON with the nested structure and grok file structure or some logs you are trying to read. In that case you can use the classifier to create the schema. So that was all for Crawler 101, where we understood Crawler, how it extracts the data, table partitions, and update the data. So thank you very much for watching this video.